Top Dog, Braden and Surprenant back at it for another edition of the High School Football Podcast. We are already in week 5? 6? Week 5. Teams have already played 6 games. I think we're in week 6, matter of fact, including week 0. Teams have played 6 games. A lot of them are playing their 7th game. I lose track at this point of the year. We're in the middle of the season. I don't really want to say dog days of the fall yet because we're not really there yet, just starting the fall last week. But we're starting getting the league play. That's where you start getting the rivalry games, teams that know each other all the time, evenly matched, and the ones that really put a wrinkle into rating systems that determine the playoffs. So it's gonna be a fun couple of weeks here as we get some league races underway. Let's talk about last week. Obviously, had some close games and some games that we didn't think were going to be close. We had 2 teams in San Diego beat really good out of town squads, and then another team also beat a team from Bakersfield. San Diego owned Bakersfield this weekend with Lincoln and Carlsbad winning. Helix beats Trinity League School in Servite, which is impressive despite whatever Servite's record may be. But overall, a very interesting week last week.
I would agree. I think the most impressive one, and by the way, I owe lunch to Roland Veal. Helix, because I said that Servite would win that game. So he texted me. He didn't like that, so he texted me and said, we're going to beat them. And sure enough, they did. They won that game. I think the most impressive win for me was Carlsbad Liberty. Liberty's a pretty good football program, and Carlsbad went out there and handled them.
First game with their tight end. Looked a little bit different offensively and defensively. The transfer from Santa Fe Christian, he was on a tear against Liberty. So we'll see how they go as they finish off Avocado League play. You mentioned Helix beating Servite, obviously a good win, the battle of the bagpipes, if you will. Both schools got the storied tradition of the bagpipes leading onto the field, which is kind of cool. But they go 1-1 against Servite over the last 2 years. So hats off to Helix on that one. Tough one next time out where they got to play Mission Viejo. I don't know if that's this weekend or next weekend. I just know it's the next game on the schedule. It's a little bit of a gauntlet there for Helix before they start league play.
Is Rob Johnson still coaching there?
I don't know.
The former Buffalo Bill quarterback was a coach at Mission Viejo for several years. And his dad was when he was coach in Mission Viejo history.
I'd have to look it up.
So they have 500 kids in their football program.
It doesn't surprise me. It's a very large school.
That's insane, though. 500 kids in a football program.
A lot of large schools up in Orange County. When we talk about the difference between San Diego teams and Orange County schools, I think it's funny. A little sidetrack. It's teams like Centennial always talk about we're the public school that gets it done, and then they got like 5,000, 6,000. I mean, it's like they got like more than 5,000 kids at their school. So it's like, all right, well, attendance numbers, you're kind of in the same. You're playing the same game. It's really kind of the same.
That's like putting San Marcos and Mission Hills together on one campus.
Right. I mean, think about
one team.
San Marcos team.
How dominant would they be?
It'd be great. It'd be a great team. We've talked about that before, so we digress on that story. Couple of those scores that were surprising to me. Not the result, but the way that the score was. Madison beating Granite 15-12 was surprising to me.
Yeah, let me talk about that one for a minute. So, I got a call late Friday night after the game from the defensive coordinator from Madison, Ben, and he said, Chris, TD, they're for real. He said they got a 3-headed monster over at running back over there, and he doesn't think there's anybody that can stop him in Division II.
I don't think there is either.
He even said they're going to give Helix a run for their money. So it'd be interesting. I mean, they could win. They were in the Grossmont Hills League.
That's correct.
That's going to be a first time in a long time that Helix didn't win it. So that's going to be a big game.
Well, that was kind of the conversation we had last week about Granite. Was like, are they good enough to knock down Helix? And I think we'll find out in the next couple of weeks, obviously, because they're going to go through league play. Steel Canyon and Grossmont are just not having really good seasons. I mean, they're definitely in major rebuild modes.
Was that a pun on Major Givens?
No, that's not a pun on Major Givens. Okay. But talking with Longerbone after the game, I mean, the thing that's about Steel, I mean, last week, they're down to like 24 kids in the program. We talked about this. There are a lot of guys sick. Major Givens didn't even play in the game for a different injury. But Coach Longerbone said, give it a couple of years, they'll be back and ready to go. So I don't know if they got some kids coming through the program that are gonna up it a little bit. But it's kind of weird to see Steel Canyon this down, in a Grossmont team this down. But Granite Hills, to go back to our original conversation.
Yeah, what happened to East County football?
I don't know. I mean, it's Helix and everybody else, and Helix isn't the same dominant. I mean, they're not dominating a lot of teams out there. I know they beat Servite, but It's super down. It's weird. But to go back to what I was talking about with Granite, they have 2 losses. They're both to D1 schools. They're to Madison, who is ranked number 1 in the UT poll, top 3 in all ranking categories,
including
and Poway.
Yeah.
They lost to Poway. And both teams they had leads on early in the game and gave up the leads late and ended up losing. So they're definitely going to be, to me, the team to beat in Division II. And if Madison's sitting there going like, hey, man, they gave us everything they had and that was close. I mean, they needed like they need to score 15 points in like 6 minutes to win that game, and they were able to do it, which is hats off to Madison on that standpoint, but even better showing at a Granite Hills. And we talked about no moral victories on this podcast, but that's a pretty good effort there from Granite. The other game, you told me off air about what this score was potentially going to be from one of the coaches. I will not say exactly what the conversation was, but Mount Carmel beat Rancho Buena Vista and beat them down. I mean, they beat them 38-7. Second time in RBV history where they're a game from going 6-0, and Mount Carmel just obliterates them and ends their perfect season.
I'll drop names. The DC over there actually texted me and said, they're not going to score on us. And I thought that was pretty bold.
They basically did it.
I mean, I'll be honest. I thought that was pretty bold. I thought, I respected the running game, the Hogs up front for RBV, and then Connor Underhill slinging that rock. This has turned into somewhat of a rivalry. From what I'm hearing in the streets, the kids over at Mount Carmel, they're not big fans of the whole RBV program. And so they really take pride in the fact that, they're going to ruin their record. They're going to give them their first loss. And so, they got up for this game. I think their defense played well. I'm not sure how RBV scored. I think it might have been on special teams. I didn't see the highlights from that game. But
even if they only gave up 7, you basically shut the team out. I mean, he basically backed it up, right?
I was very surprised.
Right. I'm surprised, too.
I owe the DC, Deontay Lee over there, Mount Carmel, lunch, so I'm going to be kind of full this week because I owe 2 guys lunch.
You owe a lot of guys lunch, man.
No, man.
You should just have one lunch party and invite all the coaches you owe lunch to.
No.
Just knock it out one time.
That would be nice, but no.
No, I know you, Chris. You want to go out. You want to have a little bit of, hey, let's go up to Penasquitos, my spot here. I'm going to have some food there. Right. Then I got my spot out in La Mesa I want to go to. You just want to branch out, and it's an excuse to get all your food all around town. Man, exactly. San Diego's got a lot of good food to offer.
But Deontay Lee, he's a great coach. Coaches defense. He's probably one of the better. I've said this in the past. He's probably one of the better defensive coordinators in San Diego County. Probably in the top 5 in my opinion. And he really put together a game plan to shut down both the running game and the passing game for an RBV team that's been on a roll.
Yeah, these 2 teams obviously renewed their old rivalry last year when they brought up the game again. Old Valley League team, or Palomar League, I think at the time, way back in the day when. Dave Roberts was playing for Rancho Buena Vista. Yeah. I went through it. It's funny because I put the article together when we do the whole breakdown, and I did the research on Partleton Sports. I gave them a shout on the air yesterday. Partleton Sports, anybody that doesn't know, it is a website that has every single high school football game played in San Diego's history on it. There's no box scores, but it has everybody's season. You can go down, like Chris, you can pull up your seat whenever your years were at Crawford. You can go on there and they'll have all the scores from all your games on there, and it's all storied in history, and they got the history of all of it and the coaches. And it's kind of cool to kind of go roll through that. I don't know if I want to go back and look through some of ours. I remember we had for a number of years we had the worst loss in San Diego County history. It was 88-0. Oh God!
So I don't know if I want to go back and relive any of those days at Crawford.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool to reminisce on some of the teams. You go through them like, oh yeah, that RBV team. Hey, did you know an RBV in 1993 was this good? Or you could look back at what Dave Roberts' year was when he played there, and it's kind of fun to put together. The other one, Point Loma beat La Jolla, but destroyed them. I mean, they won 49-0.
That was a shocker.
Wing T team now. Joe Allen decided to go with the Wing T.
What's going on in La Jolla?
I don't know.
It's a couple 2 years ago, COVID year, Point Loma didn't even have a team.
Right.
So, and we're a year and a half, 18 months later, and they're ranked number 14 in the county, and they're smashing La Jolla.
Right. I think Point Loma I
just didn't see this coming.
Point Loma did a really good job in the last couple of years of, redoing the schedule, because they had the Hastings schedule before, and that was like playing a bunch of D1 schools and what have you.
Their teeth kicked in.
Right. So they redid the schedule. They dropped down a couple of leagues. Yeah. to play teams more of their caliber, get everything, their feet underneath them.
It didn't take very long, though.
No, but then they go to a wing tee offense, which we've talked about this before. It's not sexy, but if you're a team like Point Loma, if you can run those 6 plays really well and block it well, it's hard to stop. And that's a good offense to run if you don't have the big guys or you don't have the super fast skilled guys. Now, I'm not saying Point Loma doesn't have that, but it's an equalizing offense to run. And if you run it right, and Joel Allen's running it right over there at Point Loma, you're going to beat a lot of teams and beat them down. And for La Jolla, obviously, it's been a couple of years since they were on the rise with big Helix in that shortened spring season. And then, obviously they had to go to D1 and then they're kind of coming back down a little bit, but I would imagine they'll do pretty well in league. Other games, we'll just rip through them real quick. Santa Fe Christian beat Escondido Charter in kind of our small school game of the week to beat them 20-14. Cathedral over Steel Canyon 35-3. Mater Dei beat down on Saints 44-0. Got their first win of the year. Carlsbad, like we mentioned, beat Liberty 27-0. Real quick, anything really talk about on those games?
Congratulations to Mater Dei on getting their first win of the season.
Got their first win. They're going to probably get their second win against Central, and then they should be able to roll through league.
Yeah, I don't understand that game. But
okay. They might go. They're going to go 6-4.
They'll win out from here on out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they will win out.
Okay. They beat East Lake.
Oh yeah, they'll beat East Lake.
All right.
East Lake's looking for their first win.
Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries.
They've had a lot of problems. Yeah, a lot of things.
Why do we say that every year with East Lake?
I don't know. I mean, they one of the better programs, and it's.
You say one of the
San
better
Diego
programs?
High. I'll put it this way: San Diego High School football as a whole is better when East Lake is one of the top teams.
I'll say this: the only person that could win it there got fired twice from there.
You got fired twice.
I don't know how you get fired twice from the same school.
When you're the winningest coach in school program history. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, do our top 10. We also have guests today.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
I'm excited
When we come
see
back
the shirt?
as well.
See the shirt?
I did see the shirt. Is that foreshadowing?
It's ooh.
Ooh,
Who we got on tonight?
I don't know. We'll find out when we come back.
He's a live one.
On the high school football podcast with Top Dog and Braden Surprenant. Still haven't figured out the cameras yet, so that's kind of a downside of this podcast, but it's all right. We're making it happen. We have a special guest coming up that is gonna be joining us right after we talk about our top 10. So we'll tease it a little bit longer. But the little kind of hint is TD's shirt right now. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see who walks through that door. How about that? Let's talk about the top 10. So the UT Riders poll after week 5. It is week 5. Went with Madison number 1, 16 votes, same as last week. Carlsbad 2 with 5 first place votes. They jump up from 3 to 2. They pass Lincoln. Lincoln with 2 first place votes in 3rd. Cathedral with 5 first place votes in 4th. Helix in 5th with 2 first place votes after beating Servite, then Poway, Granite Hills, Mater Dei, La Costa Canyon, and Mira Mesa. That is the UT Riders poll. TD, what is your top 10 before I give you mine? Or do you want me to give you mine first? All right, cool. I still got Cathedral number 1. I got Lincoln number 2. I swapped them with Carlsbad and Madison. I got Carlsbad 3 at 4-1. I got Madison 4. Excuse me. At 5-0. Helix 5 still at 5-1. Poway at 6, 5-0. Granite Hills 7, 4-2. Mater Dei 8, 1-4. Mira Mesa 9, 4-1. La Costa Canyon 10, 3-2. Not really much of mine changed, except I bumped Lincoln up a couple spots, and I actually did end up moving Madison down for that close one against Granite Hills. But Cathedral, Lincoln, and Madison all have to play each other. We'll see what Carlsbad does in the Avocado League, and we'll see if Helix is hanging around. But there's a lot of good teams there in the top 10 and especially in the top 6.
All I gotta say is Western League dominates. So let's start with my top 10. Lincoln's got to stay at 1. I mean, for me, they go out and they beat an out of town team, and so they stay at 1. Cathedral's at 2. Madison stays at 3. I mean, they handle business against a team I think it's actually really, really underrated in San Diego. I got Carlsbad at 4, Helix at 5, Poway at 6, Granite Hills at 7, Mira Mesa at 8, Mater Dei at 9, and 10 is La Costa Canyon.
This is like one of the first years that you and I have had like the same teams in the top 10 every week.
It's just a little bit flip-flop.
It's just a weird year. I mean, it's hard to fill out the rest of the tops. After the top 6, maybe 7 now in Granite. it's just kind of hard to fill out the rest. I mean, you got
So what teams do you think are solid? I mean, let's just be honest.
top six.
The top six. What are
I think
your
the
six?
top
in
six.
any random order. It doesn't matter the order, but give me your top six. Period.
Again?
Just overall, yeah.
Okay.
Not in any random order. Just to see how many of these I have.
I think, Cathedral, until somebody beats them in town, is going to be in the top six. I also think they're a solid team despite, what their record says and based on who they've played. Right. Lincoln, I think, is a solid football team in town, too. I really do. I think with having a player like Roderick Robinson, it just puts you at the top of the pecking order because of all the things that he can do. Madison, I think, is
Can I address Lincoln for just a second?
All right.
So Kmart calls me. They're running back coach over there at Lincoln this week. By the way, I need to put a correction statistic out. I think we were saying that San Diego teams hadn't beaten out-of-town teams. I want to be clear. Lincoln did beat 2 out-of-town teams before.
I did know about those.
Yeah,
I said our teams hadn't beaten anybody that was really impressive.
Yeah.
And it came across as we didn't beat anybody because Mission Hills beat some teams out of town too. I think the two most impressive wins for our teams out of town right now.
Name recognition.
Right. It wasn't like premier. It wasn't. We could puff our chest out. We're San Diego because Steel beat Heritage.
Yeah.
Right. And Lincoln did a good job playing out of town, playing Capital. I mean, they had to fly to Capital Christian in Sacramento. They had to go to Are you kidding me? They had to go to Bakersfield last week. That is a terrible drive.
Yeah.
So they had to do that. They had to play Alemany on the road. And, if they would have beat Alemany, I would have given them a lot of credit for that. But, because Alemany is one of those, again, storied programs, even though they're kind of down this year. And then they played St. Bonaventure at home. But it's a shame. I mean, they have to do that.
Yeah.
Because nobody in town wants to play them.
Yeah.
Cathedral has to do that. I think all these teams about to name have to do that because nobody wants to play them.
But the one thing that Kmart and I talked about, the difference between this year and last year, last year's team probably had more talent, but
Lincoln?
this year's team plays together. This year's team, watching the games, watching these guys, they're selfless. There's not one guy in there that is playing for himself. And so the magic I see in the Lincoln football program this year, I haven't seen in quite a few years. And I think that leadership comes directly from the hard work that Roger Robinson puts in and the leadership of some of the seniors on that team that say, hey, you know what, we're going to play for each other. And when watching those games, you see a difference in this year's Lincoln team. They're more disciplined. They're more focused on the overall goal. And they're not out there, beating their chest and rally crying like in the past. These guys are really, really focused. And so, Kmart and I talked about that. And that's just one of the differences. I think they had, like I said, I think they had more talent last year. But I think this team is better just because they're playing for each other.
Well, and you mentioned, I think Roderick leads the way. We interviewed him last year. A great young man.
Great kid.
He takes care of business on and off the field. His leadership kind of style, the presence he brings.
UCLA, man.
The presence he brings in the conversation. You don't just go to UCLA just doesn't offer you.
Right.
Despite whatever their program is as a whole right now. I mean,
it's still UCLA.
They like you.
Jackie Robinson.
They like the athlete that represents UCLA. Right? I mean, it's a brand thing.
It is. I mean, I said, Jackie Robinson.
Right. But like UCLA they have to offer certain kids because they have to be able to get it done academically, which Roger Robinson can do. They have to be able to represent the university. I mean, it's not like, I don't want to just dog some other schools. It's not like some of these other schools that can just throw out offers and just, you have to be legit to play in the Pac-12, the Power 5. You have to be legit to play at an academic school like that. And he's definitely him and Trey Edwards is going to be great representing San Diego. And think about all the UCLA products we've had that are San Diego kids.
Another kid on that team that doesn't get a lot of love is one of the best corners in San Diego, and that's Chris White.
Chris White, yeah.
I mean, dude, here's another kid. This kid's going to Yale. Now, Yale's not a football program per se, but, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick played at Yale. No, he played at Harvard. Take that back.
It doesn't matter. It's an Ivy League.
All I'm saying is
he's setting himself up for life going to Ivy League.
Kid's going to Yale.
Yeah, it's great.
In my wildest dreams, as smart as I could ever think I would be, I'd never get into Yale. I mean, it's so rare and so special for a kid to go to a Yale and get a football, to go to be accepted, get a scholarship, go and play at Yale. That's unbelievable.
Well, think about this. We're talking about like just the talent level in San Diego compared to everything else. We might not be sending kids to the biggest Power 5s right now but we are sending kids to Ivy League schools, and we're sending them to great academic institutions where they can continue their football career. They get money off so they can afford these schools, and they're setting themselves up for life.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about some of the Jackson Moyes at Stanford.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, did you watch him play this last weekend?
He's playing a lot.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, he's playing against Washington State.
Right.
Washington.
By the way, he was getting double teamed against USC.
I wanted to see Asa Turner too, so it's all good.
But anyway, it's great. So to go back to
did you see? I was looking for number 17 on the sidelines up there at Stanford.
No, I didn't see him.
You know who that kid is?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I'm not gonna say it.
You can say it.
No.
Why not?
I'm not gonna say it.
Why not?
Is that who you're looking for?
Yeah.
You didn't see him out there?
I didn't see him.
I think it's great that he's there, but to go
Is he
back
on the clipboard.
to go. He's like clipboard Jesus, like Charlie Whitehurst. Let's get to the. So I had Cathedral and Lincoln. I think are solid teams. I think Carlsbad's a solid team too. Yep. I don't think they're as good as last year.
Carlsbad?
I do not. I think last year's team. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Hold on though.
No. Hold on, Chris. Last year's Carlsbad team this season, nobody would touch.
No, I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm gonna say it right now.
I don't know.
Last year's Carlsbad team this season would be the team to beat.
What's the difference? The running game?
Their running game, they're bigger. They were bigger last year. They had a lot more weapons.
I'd like to see what I'm going to hold my reservations yet to see what that tight end transfer from Santa Fe Christian does before I'm going to say they're not as good.
I think they were better last year than they are this year. But I still think they're solid.
Sunday? Any given Friday night?
They're solid because Thad does a great job up there at Carlsbad. We got to wrap this up pretty quickly. Madison, I think, is a solid team. Helix is a solid team. And I think Poway, with what they got right now, is also a solid team. I think those are all your top six.
I'm not sold on Poway yet. We'll see.
They're my sixth, though.
And they're not my 6.
You had them at 6, and you're
No,
like,
I think I had them at 7.
I think you had them at 6.
No.
They're better than. I think they already proven they're better than Granite. They beat them. I think they probably beat Mater Dei. This state of Mater Dei. And I think they beat Mira Mesa. I think they beat LCC.
I don't think they beat Mira Mesa.
I think they do. I watched Mira Mesa play in person.
Okay.
I think their running back's really good, but I think Connor Rath would be a problem for their defense. I do.
I agree.
That's a game like we talked about 3 weeks ago. We talked about schedules.
Yeah.
That's a game they should play.
That is a game.
Poway and Mira Mesa should play each other all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
So we talked about the top 10. Our guest is here. I think so.
Is that
Peeked
who
his
we're
head
speaking
in.
to?
Yes.
All right.
He gave him a look like, who are you? What are you doing here? We're going to bring back our guest when we come back on the High School Football Podcast with Top Dawg and Braden Surprenant. Well, we ended up tracking down our guest. He was here for like a half a second, and then you gave him a bad look, and then he dipped, and we're like, where did he go?
Right.
But
look in the parking lot, and he's driving off.
He's driving off. No, it's all right. I already left, and then we got him back. But Charles James is joining us here on the High School Football Podcast.
Yeah, the James game.
So we kind of promoted it with he had the shirt on to kind of tease that you were coming on.
It's in honor of my PPR.
He's got is that your state championship ring?
No, this is the Hall of Fame ring.
Oh, look
Everybody
at
ain't
that.
got one of those ones.
Oh, that's sweet. Repping that. So obviously we talked about, or we didn't talk about, but a lot of people know you from your days at the head coach at San Diego High,
at UC too.
At UC as well, and then of course now you went from the coaching. You took the coaching headset off, and you got the broadcasting, journalist headset on. Talk to us about for anybody that hasn't checked out your new segment yet on the PPR. What exactly is it about? How it came about, and some things that you enjoy doing this new line of work.
Yeah, well, we have this new segment with PPR, and it's about bringing basically. Paul Rudy wanted to, sink his teeth into these young kids like early and get a story on them before they get there. So when you look at it, for the most part, if you go through the whole rankings or whatever, as far as like high school, when you get to that level, your freshman year, your sophomore year, basically you should be in JV and freshman.
Right.
So PBR really has 2 years to even get a story with you, and 1 year is building up all the hoopla around you. So just think if we had film on Chris Olave when he was 9 years old, and we had that all the way up to high school, and then so on, and all the way to the NFL. So that's the main thing that Paul wanted to do, is say, hey, let me meet these kids before, because once they get, Chris knows he's been there.
Big time.
You know, yeah, man, you get these seniors, they get their girlfriends, they driving cars now, and they like, I can't do this interview, you know. So I think it's a great thing right now because you're meeting so many kids that are talented. The football IQ of these kids is crazy. It's not like when we came up where, you know, we play 8 games and we move on. They're playing year round and
travel.
You know,
now.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the youth. Youth football in San Diego.
Can I ask my first?
Go ahead.
My first question is going to put him on the spot.
Okay.
So everybody knows that Reed Dudley ran the Youth Sports Center. Mm-hmm. So when you came out with the James Gang, I want to know how pissed off was Reed Dudley that he didn't get to do this deal and you did it instead.
He wasn't pissed at all because he's a part of the team with me, and you know, I reached out to a lot of youth coaches and a lot of youth influencers, and he definitely was one of those guys that, you know, joined the team and helped me reach out to some of these young guys that we don't really know about. And they can't wait to get Top Dawg to.
No, for those of you that don't know, Reed Dudley is a storied and legend in youth football. Mm-hmm. He's been here longer than I've been around, and Reed does a lot of stuff. He does for free, promoting kids. He calls himself the Youth Sports Center.
That's awesome.
So, on all the social media channels, and Reed does an excellent job.
Very good job
promoting these kids. I mean, you know, he's been trying to get on with PPR for years, and so I'm excited to see that Charles is promoting these kids before they get into high school.
It's really cool. I mean, the PPRs, they went from when I was going through high school. I graduated in 13. I mean, it was just high school football.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then after I graduated when I was in college, then they started doing the all sports report, and then they started doing other high school games, and then they started throwing in the Little League World Series type kids. And now they got Pop Warner highlights on Saturdays.
Who else? Everybody commits on KUSI.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's nobody else.
They've just gone like full youth sports, which is great because it's like an avenue for a lot of kids that don't, you know,
that speaks to McKinnon
Broadcasting.
Broadcasting.
Right.
McKinnon Broadcasting, the only independent station here in San Diego. You know, they really believe in giving back to the community and being part of the community.
For sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about, you know, just youth football in general and the youth football and Pop Warner just in San Diego. Based on what you've seen, like, do we have a lot of kids playing football? Are the numbers back up from your experience? And, you know, what's kind of, I know you sort of already mentioned it, but, you know, the level of play in San Diego, what's it like in 2022?
The numbers are up. The numbers are down in certain leagues.
Right.
But you have some leagues like Pop Warner, because everybody looks at the youth because the youth was unlimited and things like that. But you have Youth, USA, Pop Warner. So you have 3 different leagues and their kids all over. So when we go and look at Pop Warner, they have, you know, Coach Keir's coaching. And he was like, we have a full schedule, and it's 24 teams in our division, and, you know, and then you go to the youth, and it's a little bit more watered down as far as the numbers in each league, but they have powerhouse teams because they're more geared to winning national championships and traveling. So you kind of have the two of the different. Pop Warner is a little bit more of it's kind of old school a little bit. Not to say that's in a bad way. It's just, you know, they're more of kids that's going from sport to sport.
Right.
Like
it's that season. It's like, all right, well, I do travel baseball in the spring, and then come and it's a lot of kids like playing football for the first time.
Right.
Instead of kids that might take it as playing football year round.
That's what, kind
of deal.
You know, the IE, has the IE Ducks.
Right.
They got in a lot of trouble a couple years ago for having an older kid play younger league. Do we have those type of issues here in San Diego, or? No.
Well, you know, one thing that I can say, the politics in high school, they're more controlled based, I guess, because you got Scott Juicy, you got Joe Hines, you got those guys that are like, listen, you get out of line, you lose your job. With youth sports, I mean, it's the wild, wild west sometimes when they get into these arguments and stuff about things, and it's like I'll get there and they're like, hey, this is the team you need to see. I'm like, hey, we're just here.
That's right.
You know? So
the famous Marshall. I'm here so I don't get fined.
That's right, man.
So,
We're
but
doing our job, all right?
it's a fun thing because I have love for everybody. I have no enemies. I don't even have enemies in high school no more. Like, it's so many people in high school.
Are we sure about that?
We're dead serious. It's so many people in high school that when I was coaching against them, that, you know, it's shots here thrown there. I've never thrown a shot at anybody publicly, but now it's like, Coach James, we respect you so much because the competition level is there,
right?
You know, and myself included.
When you're in the same league and stuff like that, you see each other all the time.
It's cool. I'm not even gonna throw myself out. Like, I was competitive as well, and I get to sit back and watch all these coaches and just be a fan of football and coaches now. So,
well, speaking of that, I mean, Braden and I off air were talking about, you know, his dad coaches and says, "Oh, I'm gonna take a year off." And
he's been coaching for almost 40 years now. He's still coaching now at. Once I got to Cathedral, he started coaching there after a long time at Grossmont, Santana, Kearney. Like, he's been all over the place. And once me, my brother, my sister all went through Cathedral. He's still there because they won't let him leave. But he's like 50. He's in his mid 50s now. He wants to travel, visit my brother in college, visit my sister who's working in Nashville. He's like, I need to take a year off. But every time he takes a year off, he's like 2 or 3 weeks into the off season, and he's itching to get back out there. So we were talking before you showed up. I was like, I gotta ask Charles. You know, do you still have that itch when you're out there to come back and coach at any, not necessarily be a head coach, but just go out there and coach high school again?
It hasn't hit me yet. I've been I've been to Cathedral games. Like, those are things I couldn't do when I was coaching.
Right. You can't go see anybody else.
You couldn't see anybody else. So I actually went and I went to Cathedral Mater Dei's game, and I sat on Cathedral side. And at first I'm like, I wonder if they and it was all love. But you know, I've been to I'm going to the Lincoln game this week, and I went to a couple of games this here in Westview games, and I need to go see one of my old teammates, Poway. I need to go check Poway out and see them bring him to the woodshed there. I need to see that. But no, I'm actually enjoying it. I haven't had that itch. Now, I have had that itch watching the game, like, I would have called this or I would have did that. But I haven't, far as the 7-on-7s and getting guys, you know, ready for college. Nah.
The strength and conditioning during the off season and making sure everybody's doing everything they're supposed to, and you see all of that stuff. Like, that's all the stuff. Like my dad says, I don't want to do any of that stuff.
No.
So, you know, Cathedral cut him a cool deal. It's like, all right, well, you got to come back. You don't have to go to any of that stuff you don't want to go to. Just show up on and do the fun stuff. So, you know, I would imagine on Friday nights when you go out to those fields, I'm sure you get a little bit of that buzz and being like, man, I wish I was going toe to toe with some of these guys out there.
You know what? I'll tell you this, Coach Doyle, watching Cathedral against Mater Dei, because I run Wing T, and I can be wrong, but to me, I think this is going to be probably, and it might not show in a reflection of the records, but it will be, to me, his best coaching this year, because he doesn't have all the pieces that he normally has. And so when I went to the Mater Dei game, Mater Dei clearly was outsizing Cathedral. Clearly, I'm like, wow, I've never seen Cathedral this small. And I actually seen him call plays, and at certain times I will call the same play because we run the same offense. I'm like, all right, he's going to hit him with lead gut now. Now he's going to come in, and it was going. So I became a fan as well as, like, I'm in the booth with him or something. You know, that was fun. So I think those type of games like that, that kind of drives me back to saying, man, you know, I missed that. But everybody doesn't run Wing T, so I don't get that excited. You know?
So, speaking of that, before we cut a break here, we actually had a question. When we come back from break, we're
going to dive into. I know you got a question, but I do want to talk from his perspective now of being able to watch everybody and like kind of experience everybody and get his high school takes as we talk with Charles James when we come back on the high school football podcast. I don't want to complain about the camera too much, so we'll just keep rolling here as we just have these natural breaks. We're still with Charles James.
We need to get some
talking high school
sponsors
football
to fill up those breaks. You know that?
Well, we do. On Odyssey has that. That's covered.
Let's do it.
We're not getting any of the money though, so I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, what
Someone's
kind of
getting
deal are
paid.
you working for us, man?
I
Come
don't
on.
know, man. But like, I think the people.
I mean, at least I get gas money, right?
I don't
Odyssey?
know.
Help us out.
YouTube. So like, if you watch it on YouTube, you don't have any breaks. But if you listen to the podcast and just do the audio, at those breaks, there's like, be sure to tune into this podcast with Boomer Esiason. All right, cool, whatever. So
Well,
that's
so
that's their
here's my
product
question.
placement.
You know, 18 months ago, Point Loma had no football season, right? I think they played 2 games and said, we're shutting it down. Our guys can't be competitive. Joel Allen rebuilds the program.
I think I know what you're going with this.
Institutes the wing T. And you look at last Friday night, he played La Jolla, who was in the championship just a couple years ago against Scripps, and he beats that team 49-0. So my question is, as much as everybody in the county and football fans absolutely hate the wing T, is it the best offense for high school football?
I think that depends, right? I think that really
Well,
depends.
let the coach answer.
Well, I'm
Come on.
gonna put in
You're
my
a little
2 cents.
biased, though. You're a little biased.
We're
You're a
both
cathedral
biased,
guy.
both wing T guys. But
right.
you know, if I'm a defensive coach, so from a standpoint of if I was running my own team on offensively,
Yep.
I wouldn't be running a wing T. But it depends.
Okay, you're
I
fired.
think
Doyle,
it depends. I think it depends on your personnel.
Yeah.
And I think Ron Gladdick said it when he was at Torrey, and Sean Doyle says it. I'm sure Charles say the same thing. It's a great equalizing offense based on, you know, if you don't have gigantic linemen or if you don't have maybe all the personnel, you can kind of stay in games running a wing T. And if you look back at all the games Cathedral has played against big time opponents that are bigger, faster, stronger than them, the Narbones of the world, the
Right.
Folsoms of the world,
Right.
the
The Gauchos.
I mean, Orange Lutheran. I mean, some of the teams that they played in the Honor Bowl, Sarah Gardena. What keeps them in the game is they run the wing T for about 2 or 3 quarters, even when they beat Centennial a couple years ago. And the other team's freaking out trying to figure out how to stop it. And at halftime, they finally figure it out. And by that time, when they start coming back, they're 1 possession too late, and Cathedral leaves with a victory. And it's always the attitude of, we know how to stop this. This is easy. They come in, they get punched in the mouth, they're freaking out. They finally figure it out, and they're a possession behind. So that, I don't know if it's for all of high school, but for me, it's certain personnel. And I'll let
So
Charles
you
answer.
just let the secret sauce out of the bag of why Doyle has been so successful.
I've said that on our podcast for the last 5
Not
years,
that
Chris.
deep. Not that deep.
It happens all the time,
Not that deep,
especially
though.
with out-of-town teams.
Yeah. All right.
They roll in there and you're like, this is the Cathedral team we're supposed to play, the San Diego team. And they brush them aside, and then it's like, oh, maybe we don't know how to stop this. So for you, Charles, high school offense is great, or do you think it has to fit the personnel?
Personnel, most definitely. I play wide receiver, so I love throwing the ball. Now, if I was playing for Coach Jason right now, as a player, I would love it. We're
Right.
throwing the ball.
Right.
Well, Robinson wasn't on the team, but
Right.
you know, we're throwing
There
the
is
ball.
that.
Right. But as a coach, it unless you are bringing in a certain type of kid every year, which means the transfer portal.
Right.
If you're bringing in a type of
He said
kid,
transfer portal.
you know, you're bringing in that certain type of kid for that system every year. It's kind of hard to run certain offenses. The wing T offense is built for anything.
Right.
And the thing that where it works well, Coach Tracy McNair actually taught me the wing T. Now
They do a great job running their kind of version of that, too.
well, he's getting away
He's
from
throwing
it.
the ball
He's
a
throwing the
little
ball
bit.
now.
Yeah, he's chucking it.
Yeah, but if you look at the way I ran the wing T, and I'll say this on record, my wing T is Tracy McNair, Doyle, Hamamoto, all in one.
Who taught Doyle the wing T? Hamamoto is the
He's on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
at Cathedral.
yeah.
He is the guy. He shows up
Yeah.
and people just, oh my! He's in the Don's Hall of
But I've
Fame.
heard
He
him-
taught all of those coaches
I've heard
that go
him
through
talk
the
about
program.
Hamamoto. a
Hamamoto
lot.
is my favorite coach.
He's great.
He's my favorite coach as far as when you play against him, you really got to prepare. Now, if you just have a dominant team, it's different. But when you going against him, he doesn't scout you like regular. He scouts you old school. He comes with a pad and a pencil, and it's
Right.
first down. He's doing this on first down, second down, third down. So he's breaking you down so much that you really have to say, you know. So when I look at these young coaches and they just got the athletes and they're just going out there, it's like, nah. Hamamoto, you give him stacked teams, he's going to kill you. If you give him a mediocre team, he probably will still beat you. The only way he really loses is if he just doesn't have the weapons.
Which is kind of like right now, he's just struggling over there.
He just doesn't have the weapons.
But he took Lincoln to a CIF championship.
Yeah.
He took Uni/Cathedral to CIF championship. He took Rancho Bernardo to CIF championship. Everywhere he's gone, he took Monte Vista to CIF championship. Yep. He had McClendon, and then all of a sudden,
did you know who he played in that game?
What?
You remember who he played in that game? The 8 touchdown game for McClendon?
I do remember that. Yeah.
He's one of the coaches that don't really.
If Daniel just catches that ball,
all right.
If you talk about Hamamoto, and I always say, and people always challenge me on it, Hamamoto was there when Coach Shaq was coaching.
Right. Hamamoto. If you think about his coaching tree too, it's like Sean Doyle and it's John Montali who played for him. A lot of Matt White.
Yep.
From Marion Catholic when he had PT Gates and they were just destroying people. I mean, that's another head coach through the staff of guys that Hamamoto coached.
Hamamoto even coached a kid named Walter Wells and William Wells in golf.
I didn't know that.
I didn't even know the guy knew golf.
But
he's legit.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's fun to talk, wing tee. Again, I wouldn't necessarily run it myself, but again, I think a lot of teams in San Diego should run it more. And I think Point Loma is a great example of why you would be able to run that.
Well, Joe, he ran the wing tee at Bishop.
Right.
He ran variations of it, and he had different packages, but he did run wing tee, so he does know the wing tee and what it's capable of doing. And especially rebuilding a program, it's an easy way if you have smaller linemen to do things. What people don't understand, and I'm giving some of my secrets away right now. It's like
you're not coaching anymore. It's fine. You're all right.
What I don't
Only
understand
on our podcast.
That's right.
I did I went to a coaching clinic, and you had some of the. It was called the Living Legends. You remember that clinic?
Oh,
the
yeah,
Living
yeah.
Legends.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ed Burke or somebody said that. He said,
old school.
That's old school Torrey Pines wing tee right there.
And they said,
back when they grabbed face masks.
Why, if you have low numbers, which is almost every school.
Right now. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If you have low numbers, why would you run spread when they're running bombs and running the whole time, right?
Right.
And then those same players have to
play
defense against the spread. So what the wing tee does is it wears teams down. Now, if my linemen are used to just drop kicking the whole time, which we beat Linfield Christian, we beat the top, and we.
That was one. By the way, that Linfield Christian game where he coached in. If you ever go back and look on YouTube and you see me in my stripe, where's Waldo hat? That might have been the greatest football game I've ever seen.
And we took Lincoln to overtime, and Don Chapman said, "I didn't know where the ball was, and you guys had us tired because when you run in spread, you're not built to being worn down." No. Linfield Christian, they were on the. What I noticed, and I watch games, Linfield Christian starting line, starting running back, starting quarterback was on the bench every game by second half. They never play 4 quarters, ever.
Right.
So our job is to keep them in the game and wear them down.
Well, I just think from a defensive standpoint, we don't have to prepare for wing tee unless we play Torrey.
Right.
And that's basically it at D1. And then, but the benefit is we get to see it every day. So our kids are used to it. But at the same time, when we break down our opponents and I go through the list, if I see they're running like doubles, and they're running trips, and they're running any type of form of that, it saves me hours of prep time because it's like, all right, they're going to run jet, they're going to run counter tray, they might run dive, and if they pull the guard, they might run dive.
That's it.
And then that's it. And then everything else is just kind of combo rounds.
Yeah. Right.
And as I teach the secondary, like I'll go through. I've done it at least 3 or 4 times this year. We do install day on Monday, and I go, okay, guys, they're going to run devil's gun. Yeah. They're going to run some type of flood pattern that way. They're going to run all goes, all hitches, or like all slants.
Yeah.
Nothing we haven't seen before. Let's move on to the next thing. It's just so it's so quick. But you play Torrey, and it's like, all right, guy blocks down, you have to fill. If he releases, you got to cover the zone. You got to worry about this stuff. If that guard pulls, you got to go with. I mean, it's just so much more stuff for a high school kid to try to see it. And if you're good at it, you have no idea where the ball is.
And the funny thing is, you hear from other coaches that the wing tee is a Pop Warner offense.
Right.
When you have the spread, it's only 4 plays that you can really run.
Right.
And if I have a secondary, you're pretty much done.
Right.
So the spread offense is zone read. You got an inside zone, outside zone. You got
Oh, I love when
combos.
teams run zone. It's just like, oh, it's just tagging plays, zone.
That's
zone,
it.
Zone.
You
Nobody
got
pulls,
combos.
just same stuff.
Combos you can go, and then the funny thing is when you take 4 guys, you put them over here or you put them over there, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's so sophisticated." No, it's not.
Yeah, quad, just because you got 4 guys.
Just because there's 4 guys over there.
Where we top 10? I want to hear what your top 10 San Diego football teams are.
Top 10.
Yep, let's hear it. Starting at 1 and then go down. Who's
Lincoln.
your number 1 team?
Lincoln.
Okay, 2,
Carlsbad.
3.
I like Madison.
Okay, 4,
Granite Hills.
5. Braden, you can't look upset right now, okay? Put your media hat on, not your football coach.
Oh wait, hold on. Take
I
that
was
back.
gonna say, you
I got to
forgot
wait. I
about
got to admit.
somebody.
Hold on, wait. No, I will put Cathedral over Madison,
Okay, so they're at 3, Madison's 4,
and then
Granite Hills is 5.
Granite's
All
5.
right, let's
That's
go.
why I got to stop. I can't go too far down.
No
You
Helix?
can't go anymore? No Helix?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. We got to give him a
No
list.
Mater Day?
this is the thing.
No Mater Day?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, dude, Helix before
Mater
Day
Day-
on this list.
Mater Day, Helix, all those guys. Helix is definitely over Granite Hills. Yeah, Helix definitely over Granite
Who do
Hills.
you think is going to win that game, Granite or Helix?
It's gonna be a tough one because Granite Hills playing good ball right now.
Yeah.
And that line, they got good backs, they got good wide receivers, they're all bought in. But when I look at a team, I look at the line, and Granite Hill line is massive. They believe in the system, so that's one thing I like about them. I think Granite Hill's line easily,
And the last thing I want to ask you,
man.
being the recent inductee to the Hall of Fame for San Diego High School, what are your thoughts on how the program is being run right now?
That's a tough question. To ask.
Yeah,
Come on, dude.
Hey,
Dude,
I told you I was going to put
you
him on the
stir
spot,
it
man.
up, man.
I told him I was going to listen. I've got my thoughts, and after he's done, I'll share my
Okay,
thoughts.
so I'll say this. Internally, I don't know what's going on there
Right.
because I haven't been there. But I've been to a couple of games, and coach is doing a pretty good job. They're winning games. I think they're 3-2.
they're 3-3.
I think
I think
3-3.
they're 3-3.
They're at 500, which is a goal of mine every year to go 500. And so he plays some team stuff. So on the outside looking in, record wise, they're doing pretty good. I don't know internally,
How
what
often do you
things
keep
he
in
has
touch
place.
with him? Do you still talk to him?
Yeah, occasionally I talk to him with, if I go to the game, I'll tell him good game and the things that I see.
They ever call you for advice?
Sometimes, not far as the play calling and stuff like that, but definitely, stuff that I see or something like that. Halftime, because what you don't understand, two of the brothers on that team were my actual teammates. So I actually, played ball with 2 of the coaches that, and so we talk on a different level. Far as halftime, like, what do you see out there? Keep this going or keep this going. Small stuff like that. But they definitely do reach out.
Cool. So I'll give you my thoughts. This is a different program than when Charles was there. I think the culture is a little bit different. I don't know that they have the same focus on getting kids to college that Charles had when he was there. This is just my observation as a media person. I don't talk to anybody inside the program, or do I have any interior knowledge whatsoever. It's the visibility of it, and I don't see the program promoting their athletes the way Charles did when he was there, and I'm just hoping that these kids get the same opportunities to go to college that they did when Charles was there. Year in, year out, when Charles was coaching there, I saw at least 5, 6, 7 guys every year getting to college, and I haven't seen it yet. Maybe that'll come, but that's my only concern, and that's a big difference I see. It's not just the football wise, but the academics of it, and getting kids really ready for college and making sure their SATs are done. So I think that a lot of stuff, people only focus on what happens on the field, but I'd like to see what happens off the field in the offseason, how many kids from this team actually go off to play college. I'd like to see that legacy that Charles built continue with San Diego High.
We talked about that before, but the great job Charles did with not only winning on the field, but obviously off the field. as well. I do want to talk a couple of things. Just go down some memory lane with you as a coach. Just maybe some games that you remember the most, that were the most memorable for you, or most exciting games. It could be wins or losses, and times that you thought, man, I just really had to coach my ass off in that game. Some fun moments of being a high school football coach.
I know the top two, I think.
We got some good battles. The trilogy of the Kearney.
Oh yeah,
that the Kearney series was very fun, week in and week out, and something that the new coaches at Senegal High, they kept that tradition going. They won the other day, but I remember my first year there, and it was a struggle. So it's going to take some time and to get things going. But I love that series with me and Will. I don't think there ever will be numbers
out for regular season football
numbers
game.
Like that. As far as that game
was crazy,
man. For like 4 years straight, sold out.
We were trying to do one of those games on the radio, but they didn't have a press box. For
I remember that.
Use.
Yeah,
we tried to.
I was there
to make that happen.
I was there, but those games were so much fun.
Yeah, I remember that. That will always be great. Me and Will talk about that all the time. Like, it'll never be again. I don't even think it will be ever again like that in the city, to be honest with you. I don't think it will be that much buzz. All the media was in. Chris was in. PPR. So it was so much in it. Chris had me and Will doing commercials. And it was fun.
He's doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. So that, and then the two top games probably will be against Central. Coming back, I think it was like a minute and 30 coming back, and Jaden Wickware, I said, hey, we had a great season, and he was like, no, we're going to win this game. And he goes in there, he gets a sack in the end zone for a safety. They kick it to him. He runs it back. Then he goes a wide receiver, and Thomas Marcus throws him the touchdown, all in a minute and 30 game. And 30.
It's insane.
And we win the game.
And if you know Jaden, that's what makes it even more special.
That was crazy. Fast forward, and then you got the Linfield game. It was somewhat similar. And then they kick it to him again, and he runs it back. One of the slowest on the team. But Jaden ran at least 8 or 9 touchdowns back. And Chris is there going crazy. Simmons wear Waddle hat. He actually ran on that.
You gotta look on YouTube and find that video, man. It's hilarious.
But those were very amazing games, and even at that point too, Linfield ranked number 1 in the state in total offense and ranked number 2 in the nation.
Yeah, it was crazy. And you know who the offensive coordinator was in that year?
No.
Keeley Smith.
Oh, really?
They had a whole NFL
right.
staff.
Yeah.
But what I think people sometimes, what we don't do, and I kind of got upset about that, was they kind of took away the props from our kids at that time. Our kids never came out the field. Raiden Hunter and those guys never came out the field, and they're being held down to a different standard because they have 2,000 girls in the school. Like the girls outweigh the boys in the numbers. It's like 8-1. And then they say, okay, you have 3,000 kids, so you guys should have been in a higher division. Like, that's not the fact. But then you have Linfield Christian, who can handpick who they want. We're bigger, faster, stronger than this, hands down.
Yeah, that tight end was no joke. I remember that game. That
5 guys went Pac-12.
Yeah, that tight end was no joke.
And then we come back and we win, and then you guys got 3,000 kids. What is that? We only had 17 on the field. So
yeah, I mean, you do school size, and 2/3 of those are girls. Yeah. How does that add up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the school size thing is just. I think we talked about it before.
So if
you're gonna like the private school versus the big school, if you're a private school and you're going against big, it's the same thing. It's basically the same thing in terms of the deal. I don't know why you complain. You made it that far. Why would you complain after you lost? It's just sour grapes.
Here's my question. Over the last couple of years, you've been very vocal about the ranking systems, about putting teams in different divisions or whatnot. You've talked about the transfer portal. You've talked a lot about the administration of high school football. So my question is, when you gonna run for CIF commissioner?
Never.
You didn't hear him before he started. He has no enemies right now.
No enemies.
To keep it that way.
I'm actually going to be joining CIF this year.
I think you'd be really good at CIF.
No. Joe is a mentor of mine. I look up to him so much, and not only that is, I'm volunteering too. People call my phone when they heard that I'm going to be just helping out. I'm pushing papers for CIF. Okay, I'm not. I can't change anything.
You hear that? He's pushing transfer paperwork.
That's right.
Oh no!
Wait, did I hear that right? Did I hear that right?
When one certain school has all these kids all of a sudden.
How does San Diego get 15 transfers? Hold on.
Let me rephrase
How are they
that.
in D4 now?
Mr.
right.
Hines, do you need coffee? I'm gonna go get. But no,
So he does have you hear he's going to be at the CIF offices.
Good. I just need to pass my paper to him to pass the
that's
paper
it.
to Joe Hines if I need any messages.
Here we go. Hold on. Can I get some money on that?
No.
Tell him
Can I
this
get some
right
money on
here.
that? Hold on,
That's
hold on.
right.
Listen,
I'm gonna need, Coach. I'm gonna need this transfer put through.
listen. I'm
Coaches.
only a volunteer. Okay.
You got a Benjamin right there?
Can I get that transfer put through? This is how you make it happen. All right.
Man, you gonna have my phone.
He's gonna be fired
You
before
gonna have
he
it
gets
before I
hired,
even
dude.
get there.
Jeez.
All I'm doing is, hey, where do we want the chain gang to go?
It's all good. No, I mean, if you know Charles and you know his history, going back to University City and what he's done in San Diego, on a more serious note, he's one of the people that lives, eat, breathes football. And his character is impeccable. I've never known him to do anything immoral, illicit. I mean, his paperwork's always by the book. Even when, we had a kid named Kyle Simpson that played for him that transferred to, which is now Sierra Canyon. Charles made sure that his paperwork was done and done correctly and took it to the AD. So he's always been by the book. Sometimes that drives me crazy because I'll call him and he'll quote 18 different pages of the rule book to me. And I'm like, I don't even care. That's just wrong. But, so I'm really excited to see what he'll do with this time at CIF, even if it is just getting Joe coffee.
Yeah.
Getting Joe a cup of Joe. Well done. Good job, Charles.
I'm going to have to get him a T-shirt, man.
Always
I'm
one of my-
getting Joe a cup of Joe.
Always one of my favorite interviews, too, with all the coaches I interview. Because it says it how it is.
Yeah.
It's great. How much time we got?
We probably got one more break, but we got to cut this one.
All right, we'll break. When we come back, we'll let the media man, Charles James, pick some games with us. We'll wrap through it. All right, we're wrapping it up here with Charles James. A little bit longer of a podcast this week because we shortchanged it last week with only 30 minutes. But it was still good content. We talked about transfers.
It's not often you get a Hall of Famer in the building.
That's right.
Hey, man.
That Hall of Fame ring's blinding me the entire time. Just shining right in my eyes. Should have order one of my TCU Alamo Bowl ones.
Nah, I'm still trying to get my golden microphone trophy.
You supposed to have one of those?
No, I got a plaque.
Oh man, you did get a plaque. You was the
got a
first
plaque.
one.
I
All
didn't
right,
get a gold trophy.
let's pick some games because who knows how long that camera's gonna last.
That's an inside joke.
Game of the week: Lincoln Hornets at the Cathedral Catholic Dons. I don't have a spread on that one. 7:00 at Mira Mesa High School. I will not pick this game since I'm obviously a coach.
Who you got? Nah, you go first. Guess first.
Oh, Lincoln. What are we talking about?
Cathedral.
All right,
What?
you guys split it. We'll see you there, Charles. La Costa Canyon Mavericks favored by 10 at the El Camino Wildcats. North County Game of the Week.
You know what? I've went against Megatron. It's a little inside joke right there.
Yeah, because I'm confused as hell.
I forget his name now. What's the head coach at La Casa?
Oh, Sovacool?
Yeah, Sovco.
Megatron?
I was like, wait, what?
So
He just called something called Megatron?
it's Megatron. So we were doing the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right?
Is that the Is that the Spanos one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I always call myself Optimus Prime,
Right, so he's
the
Megatron.
leader of the free world, right?
Now I got it.
So I go up. We had to do
I was
the.
like, what the
we
hell
had to
is
do
he
the.
talking about?
We had to do the thing, and I go, Optimus Prime out, and I drop the mic.
Yeah.
So he picks it up and he says, Megatron.
Okay, now I get it.
So I'm gonna go with La Costa on this one.
You're going with Megatron minus 10.
I'm taking La Costa.
I'll take La Costa as well. East County Game of the Week. We haven't really been able to mention this. I talked to you about it off air.
Yep.
So Ron Berner, Sr.,
Yeah.
the head coach of the El Cap Vaqueros, is going for win number 100 on Friday.
Yep.
His son, Ron Berner Jr., is coaching defense for Santana,
Uh-oh.
who he's going against on Friday. Ron Berner Jr. against for Santana prevented Troy Starr from getting win number 100 last week. So he goes back-to-back weeks playing a coach trying to get his 100th win, and now it's his dad. Who do you got? You got Pops or you got the son in El Cap versus Santana? Pops trying to get 100.
I got Pops.
I got El Cap.
Okay,
got
so
Pops.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to piss a whole bunch of people
Oh,
off
God,
on this
here we
one,
go.
okay? You ready? I'm gonna go with the coach who actually knows how to coach, Ron Burner, senior.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, you're gonna make some people mad.
You're gonna piss a lot of people off with that. But you're going with Pops.
There ain't no love
you
lost
go.
there. He knows.
Yeah.
City game of the week: Mira Mesa Marauders 4-1 at the Madison Warhawks 5-0. Madison's favored by 16 in that game.
Man, that's a good one. I don't think they'll win by 16, but I think Madison will pull it off. One thing about Rick Jackson, man, Rick can coach, but in close games, I just seen him pull too many out that was close.
Right.
Like throughout his whole career, I've seen him pull out tight ones like that. So I think it's going to be a tight one, but I think he's going to come out on top. I didn't seen it too many times.
So today, September 27th, is Rick Jackson's birthday.
Is it really?
So happy birthday, Coach Jackson.
Aurelio Morales later, right?
Say again? I know, that's okay.
Right,
but he'll see it. He'll know that I wish him a happy birthday on his birthday. So it's all good.
Are you gonna try to
What?
lighten them up before you pick against them right now?
Are you trying to steal my thunder here?
I'm just go
Are
ahead.
you trying to steal? You need extra airtime?
Go ahead.
All right.
No, I've had plenty of airtime the last 5 days.
Aurelio Morales does a fantastic job with Mira Mesa, but I just think that the defense for Madison is too much. That they are young, they are bulls, and I don't know that they're going to be able to match up with Madison. Madison wins. This
I got
game.
Madison as well. Other notable games: Mission Bay Bucks at University City. University City by 17.
I'm going to go with University. And I got to go with you. It's the home
You do.
team.
You can take your Bucks.
You know who I'm taking in that game?
Your Bucks.
Sam Cooper.
So
He's a difference
you're
maker
not taking
in that
your
game.
Bucks.
Sam Cooper is going to run for 200 and pass for 300.
San Diego Cavers at the La Jolla Vikings. Vikings favored by 15.
I got to go with the Cavers, man. I can't go against them.
Picking against the Cavers.
I can't.
Listen,
You thought he'd get some phone calls at the CIF comments you had. He picks against the Cavers on the show.
La
We're
Jolla
gonna let him back on campus.
got throttled by Point Loma
They
last
did
week.
get throttled.
49 zip.
2 losses in a row. Lost to Morris too.
They lost to Morris. They're gonna right the ship.
Ride the ship.
They're gonna right the ship,
I know.
and they're gonna beat San Diego. I'm sorry,
I
coach.
think was it sail the ship? Isn't that their
Sail
slogan?
the ship.
I think we could pull it off.
Kearney Comets favored by 7 at the Claremont Chieftains.
Who?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kearney.
I'm going Kearney. Did you forget Claremont has a football team?
Ever since Ron Gladnick left, yeah.
It's been
We
a
got
long
some
time
good
since
backs.
Claremont's been good. Tis Lee Cole and the Del Norte Nighthawks upset Connor Rath and the Poway Titans.
No,
Absolutely not.
Not a chance. I'll take Poway.
Poway's
they're
favored
gonna-
by 35.
they're
Lee,
gonna
I
take him
love
to the
you.
woodshed. They're
I
gonna
love you, Lee, but Poway's too much.
The Battle of the Patriots. Patrick Henry Patriots at the Christian Patriots. Patrick Henry with the new New England Patriots logo, Christian with the old New England Patriots logo going out again.
Battle of the Pats.
I'm gonna
That'll
go with
pass.
Christian.
I'm gonna go with Patrick Henry.
I'm taking Henry.
I'm gonna go with Christian.
Ooh,
I seen
coach.
Patrick Henry last night. Last week.
Yeah,
They beat Morris, though, didn't they?
yeah. It'd be Morris, and Morris is a good football team.
Was you at the game?
Oh,
He
like
knows
that?
something.
It shouldn't have been a loss.
Really?
It shouldn't have been a loss. But but it wasn't the cause or nothing. It was just
It shouldn't have been a loss.
a missed tackle here, a missed tackle
Right.
there. So
All right. So you're going with Christian.
So you're not a big fan. What you're saying there is you're not a big fan of the Morris defensive coordinator, huh?
no, they did.
This is why we don't get guests. You scare them all away.
And you want to know something? The defensive coordinator was my ex-player, the best football player I've ever coached.
Imperial Tigers
Tyler
at the
Butt.
Calexico Bulldogs. Imperials 4-1. Calexico's 5-0. Charles, I know you're going to be driving out there for the PPR to go watch that game.
No.
So
Wait, Imperial against who?
I think that's part of his
Imperial
contract that he doesn't
at
have to leave the county.
Calexico.
Man,
I don't know anything about really those two
I
teams.
do.
I'll
saw
go with Imperial.
I saw
I'll
Imperial.
take Imperial.
I'm taking Imperial.
Modern Day at Central. They're driving out there.
That's a no-brainer.
Modern Day.
Modern Day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. RBV against Ramona. That's an interesting game because RBV is coming off a loss. Ramona already lost to Fallbrook. They're not the favorite in the Valley League anymore.
RBV, I think they were upset about that loss last week, and so I think they'll battle back.
Ain't no way the coach on the hill gonna let them lose to RBV. It's all of Ramona in that game.
It's at Ramona, too. You
Yep.
got to go up the
You're
mountain.
not losing. Coach
Yeah,
is not
it's
letting them
hard.
lose that
It's
game.
hard to play in there. Yeah.
Small town Americana
That's
up
it,
there.
man.
Yeah.
I got
That's
Ramona.
Friday Night Lights up there, baby.
There's only like 2 or 3 high schools in San Diego that have that kind of
Yep.
vibe. And Ramona's one of them.
And I ain't going against him.
Carlsbad at Torrey.
Carlsbad.
I got Carlsbad.
See that?
I think that's it. That's all I got.
That's it.
You want to pick the Oceanside Mission Hills game?
Is there a point to that?
No.
Oceanside's terrible, dude.
Mission
They're
Hills.
not good.
Oceanside. Bring Coach Carroll back. Can we start that hashtag?
I'm surprised that they
Hashtag bring Coach Carroll back.
Do you think his son would leave San Marcos?
Yeah.
To go to Oceanside?
To go back to Oceanside?
I
Absolutely.
don't know. I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Have you seen their facilities?
San
San Marcos,
Marcos?
their school is
Don't
gorgeous.
matter, man. Your
It
dad,
looks
your
like
dad
college.
Was,
No, yeah.
Your dad was a legend.
But he
To go
can make
coach.
his
The field is
own-
named after him.
He's got a very large school in an area that produces really good.
Really
at least
good.
they used to have really good Pop Warner teams. So I don't know if they still do.
If
or
you know
not,
the
but
Carrolls, if you know
They
the
got a
Carrolls,
freshman over there.
They
That's
got a.
No,
crazy
he's
right
a sophomore now.
Oh, he's a
Thinking
sophomore?
Nix.
They got
Yep.
Texas
Jace
over
Nix
there,
is a
too.
freak.
Yeah.
Give them like 2 years, and
I call that kid skates.
they gonna pass up Mission Hills in 2 years.
They might have already passed up Mission Hills.
They play each other at the Discovery Bowl
Discovery
last
Bowl,
week of the
baby.
year.
I like what they're doing over there because they're like contenders now.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They get some big wins. I mean, they're
Let me
still
just say
kind of
this.
fighting through the pains.
Never hire a coach from New Hampshire for the North County again. Can we all agree on that?
Oh, man.
That was a huge mistake.
Let's
That-
ask this though.
What's that?
What if Coach Carroll joins his son?
He already is there. He works there. He's part of that staff. I'm pretty sure
I thought
Coach
he was-
Carroll's on staff.
I thought he was coming next year.
No, I'm pretty sure he's already on staff.
Oh, okay.
If not, if they're breaking down film together, I mean, he's helping Lil Johnny. I mean,
So
I'm sure if he gave him a phone
Yeah.
call, he'd probably answer.
let's build a new legacy.
San Marcos Knights.
Yeah.
let's get Terrell Burgess to donate some of that Super Bowl money to his
there
high
you
school
go.
alumni. What do you think?
Kyle Phillips just got a new contract.
Right? Hey,
He's playing
both
with
of those
the
guys
Titans
need to
now.
donate some money, right? You got Tennessee
Yeah.
Titans and you got
Yeah, I
you
feel
know,
bad
St. Louis,
for-
or you got LA
Poor,
Rams.
poor Kyle Phillips, man. 2 muff punts in the NFL is not
Not
tough,
pretty,
dude.
Yeah.
As a rookie, throwing a rookie out there as a punt returner is tough.
But he
That kid's dead. That's
he's
sauce.
tough, man.
You see Tannehill when he drops back though, and he needs something to throw to.
Yeah, you
It's
see
going
where
to
he's
him.
looking. You
It's
see where he's
going to
looking.
It's going to Phillips.
Right.
It's going to Kyle Phillips.
I like Phillips' game. I really like his game. You know, I'm a wide receiver, so I look at stuff like that. You know. And
Okay, my last question.
Gotta go with
You got one more question. We got we
Yeah.
got to wrap it up. We got to
let's
pack
go,
all this stuff
let's go,
up.
Let's go. Last question. Who is the best football player to ever come out of San Diego?
to ever come out of San Diego.
Ever.
You got multiple. We got 4 Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah.
This is Heisman City, baby.
We have more than
We talked about that
states.
before.
Yeah.
The best player to ever come out of
Your
San
opinion.
Diego. On all levels.
Everything.
Are we talking best high school player or best like athlete? Like what are we talking about here?
Best high school player.
So he had to be like a stud in high school.
Yeah.
You gotta go with Marcus.
Yeah, I
Marcus
agree.
Allen?
I would actually say wow, that's the first time I think we've ever agreed. On
You
That's
gotta
the first.
You gotta
Marcus
go with Marcus.
Allen.
Yeah.
Marcus Allen over all the other Heisman
You
Trophy
have to.
winners.
Listen, I don't even
Johnson
think.
Allen.
Listen, I'll be on the record here. Reggie Bush wasn't even the best running back on that team.
Well, there's a lot of times like
Alex Smith
like
was on that team.
Like let's talk about like Mission Bay
Lloyd
when they had like
Glover.
Arian Foster. Just from experience of my dad coaching, he's like we weren't even really worried about Arian Foster. They had
Yeah.
receivers that were better than he was.
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of guys that like grow in college.
yeah.
But when you
I
look
mean,
at
who's the Ricky Williams?
Ricky
High school
Williams,
wise,
right?
wasn't that good.
Nah, Ricky was good, bro.
No, I tackled Ricky Williams.
I
What do you
played
mean?
against Ricky. Ricky was good.
not that good, bro. Conan Smith was better than him.
Ricky Williams
The
won a
Twins were better than
Heisman
him.
at the University of
know
Texas.
that's true.
Found him in San Diego, dude. That's pretty impressive.
Man, Big Gates, and you know
P.T.
Dave
Gates.
Gates. No, Dave Gates was probably one of the best D linemen ever.
What about Lincoln Kennedy?
Lincoln, he was a O lineman, but Big Dave said
Leroy Glover,
that he was one of the best.
Jamal
running
Agnew?
backs.
another Point Loma kid. Eric Allen.
Eric Allen's up there. Eric Allen might be number 2 or 3.
They produced a lot. San Diego's produced a lot.
Rashad
Great.
Salam, I thought he
Rashad
was
Salam.
overrated at La Jolla Country Day.
Everybody said that because
He
he
was
was at
so
La Jolla
overrated
Country
at La Jolla
Day.
Country Day.
Wins the Heisman Trophy.
My top 3 will be Marcus, Reggie, and Ricky.
You got one
That's
more
fair.
though. Make it Mount
That's fair.
Rushmore. Yeah, one more to that.
Just add the other Heisman.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Just
there
add
you
the
go.
other Heisman. There you go.
No, because
I'm going to throw a name out at you. Teddy Lawrence.
Ted Lawrence is good.
He was
But
a freak athlete.
But when you say the best, you're talking about all of it. We're talking about Marcus was dominant in youth,
Everything.
high school,
Marcus is by
college,
far the best.
pros.
Pro. He was the
He
best.
was by far the best.
It-
He's the best. He's the best pro
It's
we've
ever to
produced,
come out of
hasn't
San
he?
Diego.
In football.
Ever.
Yeah.
He's in a class of his own, bro.
So
He's better than TD was in the pros for
Yes,
sure. He's
yes.
better than Ricky Williams
All
in
of
the
them.
pros
all
for
of
sure.
them.
he's the
All of
top.
them. And just the way he handled his business,
The top.
took care of things in the classroom,
Yeah.
on the football field. Even when he had the troubles with Al Davis, he didn't speak on him. He kept everything in house, and then hey, you know I'm
They
gonna
brought
go
in
over
Bo
here to KC,
Jackson. He had to do with him.
right? I mean,
Still was the
dude,
best.
Marcus Allen is just Marcus.
And then went to a whole nother team and still
But he
still
didn't cut it.
balls.
That was good.
Really,
You were on it. That was great.
Marcus Allen.
I didn't have to bleep it out in post. You just
No?
you bleeped it yourself. That was great. We got to wrap it up.
right,
Charles,
let's go home.
really appreciate the time.
Hey,
that was
thank you
great.
guys.
We
Yeah.
could talk to you for hours. We don't have that much time on the podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to you, the more I got to edit when I go home. So we got to wrap this up. TD, as always, I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning in the High School Football Podcast.